Good morning. Namaskar means the divinity in myself meets the same divinity in you, with all the charms of my mind, all the love of my heart. And welcome to our session number 10 of Yoga Garden Art. I brought my canvas with me behind me. And if you'd like to join me today, bring along your pens, your sketchbook, or your canvas, paints, whatever it is that you'd like to do some mark making with. Session on meditation. So we start with a mantra. Baba Nam Kevalam. It means everything is love or everything is one. Baba Nam Kevalam. 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 Baba Kevalam. Baba Nam 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 Kevalam. Okay, so we're going to sit with our eyes closed, back up straight, legs crossed in half lotus or full lotus if you're able. If you're in a chair, it's also fine. Just a nice straight back. Hands in your palms in your lap with your fingers interlaced, or you can sit with them on the end of your legs if you like. Putting the tip of the tongue to the top of the mouth. Imagine that you're seated high upon a mountain, that your family and friends are far, far below. You're all alone. And feeling all around you is the vastness of the universe, extending through time and space, above, below, in front and behind, on all sides. And recognizing that inside all of the natural forces that exist through the universe, of contraction, expansion, creation, withdrawing, of life, maintenance, and death. That within all of these dances of the cosmos, there is one mind, one thought that's benevolent, loving, beyond our understanding. And focusing, imagining how that force manifests itself inside yourself. Feeling the essence of that love, of creation, preservation, and breathing into that creative, loving force. Imagine a sphere of protection, of safety, of love and connection growing around you. Extending in front, behind, above and below, beyond the horizon, and infusing that sphere of love, of connection with the mantra Baba Nam Kevalam. The meaning of the mantra, all is love, all is one. Imagine everything within your sphere to be touched by that same loving touch, touched by that same creative force that exists inside every cell, every atom, every molecule of your being. And feel everything within your sphere begin to merge and dissolve into the essence of that creative love, like thousands of droplets merging into an ocean. Imagine that sphere growing until it encompasses the entire planet. And feeling that you are at the center of that loving oneness. You are the nucleus of that circle of love. Imagining all hearts upon the planet beating as one heart, all minds thinking and feeling as one mind, using the mantra Baba Nam Kevalam. All is love, all is one. Allowing your mind to merge, to dissolve into that oneness. Expand that sphere of connection beyond the globe to the furthermost reaches of our solar system, and beyond our solar system to the furthermost reaches of our Milky Way galaxy, touching upon the face of the stars, suns, the moons, the planets, the nebula, and beyond our galaxy, through the universe to the furthermost reaches of time, of space, and infusing every aspect of that infinite mind with the mantra Baba Nam Kevalam. Begin to feel your very self merge and dissolve, become one with that cosmic mind. Baba Nam Kevalam. All is love, all is one. Meditation. Quiet place deep inside of me. Feel the love where love is all around. Since I found how to hear sound. Sabanam, Sabanam Kevalam. Love is everywhere. Love everyone. Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So the experience that we were going through with this particular piece of art for me was looking at contempt that sits inside of love and loss. I explained with this painting behind me that this is a picture of a relationship that I had with a very good friend that was lasting for over 2 years. And she and I had worked together in a sort of mentoring kind of relationship where she was teaching me. And it came to a point where that relationship started to change. And as it changed, I felt myself panicking. And what came into play, instead of the attitude of gratitude and kindness inside that awareness, what happened for me was after a while, I started to push for clarity. And as that occurred, I noticed that I became contemptuous of myself. And then that contempt started to influence or color the whole relationship. So what had been very soft, colorful, and fragile, not fragile in the bad way, fragile in a really robust way. It meant vulnerable and kind, loving, which was here. It started to get colored with parts of myself that I wasn't aware of until I went through this relationship. So I put some other extra colors through that, and I noticed when I did it, I put pastel on top of the acrylic, that the colors are very difficult to see. So now I'm moving on to this canvas. I've blown a section of that painting up, and it's sitting here. And instead of painting my base color first and then adding my contempt later, which is what the story was, I started with the essence of my contempt. Blue lines and blue and green lines here, and I'm about to add the on top of it. And that might be more true. I think that essentially I have a defensive kind of attitude that has to do with before I enter into anything. Even here with you now, I have an underlying cynicism that comes from my family of origin and my growing up time, where feeling safe inside vulnerability is very difficult. And so I've got a bedrock of cynicism and contempt that's like, anyway, who cares, if this works or doesn't? It doesn't matter. And there's a part of myself that's like, anyway, a lack of self-respect exists as a bedrock inside myself. So changing that is quite a challenge, and working with that is quite a challenge. What I want to do is expose that first so that I can fully understand, what is that? I understand where it came from. What is it like to recognize it? And then as that cynicism and contempt starts to come up in my day-to-day life, I can recognize it, see it coming, and start to say, no, I'm going to do things differently this time. So this painting is all about that change, and I am trying to expose to myself what that feels like, what it looks like. And even in the case of this painting, I'm starting to see the beauty in that. It's a defensive mechanism, so there is some beauty inside it. We're going to start with some yoga, some deep breathing, and the way that to reach these levels or layers of self-analysis, it doesn't come quickly. It does take time. It takes journaling. I've been through a number of I've been meditating for 40 years. So, of course, self-awareness starts to become part of the picture of who am I and recognizing I'd like to build on my strengths and let go of my weaknesses, and recognizing that this contemptuous feeling it may have protected me as a small child inside a sibling situation, but now as an adult, it diminishes my chance of having a healthy and wholesome relationship with other adults. Okay, let's sit with our legs crossed. Our back is up straight, arms behind the back. We're going to start with some deep breathing exercises. Yoga mudra is usually the best, I find. And before we begin, let's just loosen our head and neck. So hands behind the back and dropping your head forward and over to the side, roll it forward and to the other side. And again, forward, down and up. Just to the side so that you're inclining your head down and up. And then looking straight up, dropping the head back. And twisting to both sides, to the right and around to the left. Okay, let's breathe in. Straight head and long neck. Exhale, forward, down, over the legs. Exhale, and feel yourself dropping towards the mat. Without pushing, just allow gravity to pull the head face down towards the mat. Exhale fully and hold. And breathe in, coming up. As we breathe in that sense of light, of love that we've been meditating on. And as we breathe out, notice any negative thoughts, any tensions in the body or the mind, and begin to release these with the breath. Breathe in, coming up. Breathing out, forward, down, and hold. Breathe in. And again, exhale. Any limitations of mind or body, hold. And breathe in, come up. Swapping legs over and breathing out, forward, down, hold. Breathe in. And breathing out, forward, down, hold. Breathe in. And again, breathing out. Exhale and hold. Breathing in. And last time, breathing out, forward, down, hold. Breathing in. Come up. Let's do a stretch through the legs. One leg out in front. So if you do have a canvas or a work that you're starting to consider, I'll take this coat off. It's nice when you're doing your yoga to have that close by, to have it within vision. And in my case, it's right at the edge of the mat. So as I breathe in, feeling that connection between my arms, my body, and exhale out over the leg. Hold. And for me, it gives you the chance to start to contemplate what's on the canvas already and the feelings inside those colors and those shapes and forms. Exhale, release. And if you like, just take those images in the mind. Breathe in, lift the knee up and both. As you exhale, just allow yourself to start to feel the images, the shape, the color, the form, the intention of your artwork. Notice any negative thoughts, any negative feelings coming up about that exploration with color, with mind mapping, really. Breathe in, come up. Breathing in light and love, self-appreciation. Bring one knee up to the body, the other side, and exhale forward, down, over the leg, and hold. Breathe in, lift the knee up, and both legs out. I'm just creeping down my mat because we're going to be exhaling and falling back on the mat. So exhale, inhale, come up, and falling back down, arms over the head. Lifting up the body and again over the feet. Nice long stretch and hold. Breathe in, come up and down. And breathe out, forward, over, down. Hold. And last time. Breathing in. And exhale, forward and hold. Up. Putting one leg back. Both knees bent. We're twisting around the front leg over the shoulder. And then to the other side. Stretching through the back and then keeping the knee next to on the mat, bent, straighten the back leg and fall upon that foot and allow the hip to open and release. And lifting up, both legs together into a butterfly position, dropping the head down, exhale. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Leg back, twisting over the front leg, and around to the back. And then leaving the knee bent upon the mat, straighten the back leg behind you, and dropping the hip onto the mat over this bent knee and leg. Be very careful if your knees are not flexible or you have a very tight back. Do this very gently and carefully. And coming up. Again, we'll just go into a butterfly over the feet. And now I'm going to be picking up my brushes. So during these processes, we've been breathing in light, warmth, and so on. I want to bring some of the colors I'm feeling belongs here into the picture. instead of finishing the class today, I'm going to keep painting. So if you want to join me for another 20 minutes, I'll do 20 minutes more of art, extend this class for a bit longer. And again, we'll do some yoga in between the art painting time. So, the colors that I'm using are, actually I've got this particular aspect is a rose that I photographed. You can see it behind me on that film. And that photograph of the rose gives me also all of its colors. So I'll pick those colors up because that's what I'm painting from. And it indicates to me where the light and shade of the painting goes. And I'll use those as a guideline for what I'm doing with these dark areas and so on. And what I wanted to do was to paint into with the color. And I'm experimenting today because I've not used color in this way before. I'm going to be using it. It's an acrylic, but I'm going to be using it like a watercolor actually. So for example, now I don't have any white with me. So I'm going to be using the canvas as if it's my white and seeing if I can get the very light colors that are part of this picture. See if I can create them just with, oh, that's too much color there, but yeah, start to create those colors just with a water base. And it's not something I'm very sure of because, as I said, I haven't done this before with acrylic, so I'm making myself vulnerable even with the way that I'm planning to use the paint. And the reason why this series of yoga and art has been around vulnerability, vulnerable emotions, vulnerable experiences, is because at the moment I'm feeling that, certainly for myself, but also for most of us who are coming through the COVID lockdown time, we are in a really vulnerable place. And we've had to face a lot of the fear of, the self is fear of death, and then fear of loss. And working through those fears and inside those vulnerable places, ourselves, we've become, how to say, well, in some cases, a cynicism can arise, and in other cases, just a feeling of overwhelming devastation can also come. When it feels like we're no longer in control of things, can be very devastating and very frightening. So starting to paint, to do yoga, meditation, starting to paint this stuff out and start to be able to express it is a really powerful way to release the emotions, if you like. And as an art student, when I was growing up, I noticed some of the most powerful paintings of the war eras, especially from the Second World War. And the expressionists, and even the earlier people who used to glorify war, so to speak. And old paintings, and even prior to that, the biblical kind of paintings. Often they were to do with conflict, strong emotional conflict, myths and stories where I remember as a child seeing paintings of Herod presented with John the Baptist's head, for example, or inside, I think it's the Tate in London. There's a painting of one of the queens. I think it's Anne Boleyn or Jane Seymour. What? No, I think it was Anne Boleyn, about to be beheaded. No, Lady Grey was her name. Lady Jane Grey. She was married to Henry for a couple of years, not very long. And the poignancy of these paintings that expressed moments in life where we have to surrender to things that it almost feels unimaginably difficult. And I've always been fascinated to find ways to express that so that it's safe, and at the same time that vulnerability is able to come out. And so that's a bit what this painting is about. It's starting to look at the vulnerability of a very soft and beautiful flower in this case, and then what's hidden inside it. And as I described, for me, inside this is the illustration of a relationship, and inside that relationship, on the outside, it seemed very loving and connected and so on, and yet inside of it, there was an element of contempt inside myself that was not gentle and loving. It was some kind of, people would say, ego-driven. So I'm just starting to paint the color into, this is the first really large petal. I'll see if I can pull it up again. And there's definitely a certain softness and a certain translucence inside any petal of any flower, and particularly a rose. And I like that feeling that it's so delicate. Now, I don't know how to do it without brush strokes, so I'm going to have to leave these brush strokes in, which for me is like, from where you are, you wouldn't be able to see them, but I can see I can see a whole area of strokes and things that, they're not, it's not comfortable because I don't know how to control it. Anyway, we'll just let it be what it is. Because the rest of the painting is so white, that to start to bring in these really strong colors quickly like this, it does create a lot of vulnerability inside me. I'm trying to paint something that's very delicate, and I'm doing it without any white paint. So it's going to be very bold no matter what I do. And yet, the first rose that I did, it looks to me like I was able to manage that softness in there, although there's a ton of color in it. Okay, so now I'm getting into the part that's quite delicate. And I'll just finish this area here. And I think in order to work with these different areas of color, it's difficult. I'll have to use another brush. So if you are painting right now, just notice what different emotions arise as you're doing things that are, like I said, it's quite difficult for me. I'm pushing color in a way where it's not really what I want, but I can't stop it. It's kind of doing its own thing. And so that does create a sense of vulnerability inside me again. So, and now I'm coming into an area that's very delicate and tedious. And this is where all of my mind, my experience of the relationship all sits down in this area here. And it's tiny, tiny, finicky kind of work that that I'll have to sit and work with it, and then work with it, and then work with it, because I don't want to destroy the color that I've already put on. So I'm going to have to work right up to it, and I can't. If I wash it, then I'm going to lose that color. So I have to do this so intentionally. And I can see it's going to be quite a painstaking sort of experience for me to paint all of this through. So I'm going to take it right down to that delicate area and take a break and do Cobra and start to breathe in the reality of what I've set myself up for. I knew when I was painting it that this was going to be a tedious piece of work, just by the way that I was applying the paint. And I've got another area above that for me is not resolved, which is, let's see if I work with this as a small brush, what happens. Yeah, these areas here where I'll just smudge it through for now. It feels a bit like I'm kind of, funny way but yeah, that's not going to work. Because it's not a watercolor, it's an acrylic, so it's going to watermark it. Which might be okay. It's kind of doing what the flower itself would be doing, the petal itself would be doing. Those sort of variations in light, so on. I'll just pull that through into the blue and see how it works. Okay, well, if you are doing your work right now, I suggest if you are going into that sort of really fine work, you just take your time and notice your thinking. As I said, I'm going to stop in a minute and do some Cobra. And that is essentially because it's a posture that opens up the chest and the heart and the thinking of the heart. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm just noticing different thoughts come through my mind. And because of the nature of the exercise of painting and moving with those thoughts, I'm just noticing them and allowing them to move through and move on. Without too much judgment on it. Just a feeling, okay, that's interesting. Particularly, as I said, this is an intentional piece. It's got a theme behind it, which had to do with that relationship that I described that became complicated. And now I'm getting into some really fine detail work. And as I do this, I'm noticing times when I remember being in quite delicate, vulnerable situations, and the way that my mind was working back then. And just sitting with those feelings from years and years ago, especially as I was becoming a young adult, and the way that I wondered, about my future and how is it going to work out, and what lies ahead. There's between probably 23 to 25, or 21 maybe to 23, somewhere around there, where it's like, okay, well, what am I actually doing? What am I actually doing with my life? And I can feel a similar vulnerable thought, like, oh, that's going on right now, as for some reason, while I'm working in this really tiny, gentle space, it's waking up those feelings from a childhood experience. And actually, when I look at this, I can remember painting is a little bit in this way. I remember a painting I did when I was at art school that was somehow similar to this. A similar thing around the colors. And I do remember, I was at art school in the 70s and 80s, and pop art, which was about psychedelic colors and about the way colors could move across a canvas. I do remember looking at exhibitions of these pop artists at that age and being amazed, how could color shimmer and vibrate, particularly these ones I'm using now, red or orange and turquoise. So yeah, it's kind of, I'm revisiting a time in my life where I was trying to work out friendships back then too. How interesting. So as you're painting, you might be noticing different thoughts or recalls, sometimes triggers starting to emerge. Okay, well, that set me up for the rest of the day. I can see what I'm going to be doing today to finish this painting. A lot of really delicate work. Okay, I'm going to finish with some yoga and Diga Pranam. If you're ready, let's lie down on our mats, on our tummies, and exhale fully. Inhale, lifting up, looking up to the top of the head, hold. And exhale, forward and down. Inhale, lifting up, hold. Exhale, forward and down. Breathing in, that feeling of light, of love, connection, and hold. And exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in and hold. And breathing out. Release. And then we'll come into down dog, lifting up and pushing right back into the heels. Nice long back. Dropping the knees onto the ground. We'll finish today with Dirga Pranam, arms up over the head. And breathing out, forward, down, and hold. Breathing in and out. Exhale, forward, down, hold. Breathing in and exhale, hold. Breathing in and 3 more times. Exhale, taking the affirmation. I release any tension and tightness in my body and mind. Breathing in, connecting myself to nature, and breathing out, exhaling. I am that connection to creativity, and exhale. I release any tensions or tightness in my body and mind. And breathe in, coming up. Arms down. Okay. We'll finish here today. You can go ahead doing your self-massage, massaging through the head, the neck, shoulders, right down through the joints of the body, and releasing, lying down flat on the mat and relaxing. I'm Kate. Yeah, if I can do it, we can do it. We'll meet again tomorrow. Let's get healthy and wealthy together. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and bring along your easel or your sketchbook, and we'll continue. Namaskar.